excited because he is trying to find more ballots. We have some people here to vote, so that's good news, I think. But we're going to get kicked off. I know we're after 7 o'clock already. We're going to start, as usual, to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll ask everyone to stand for that.
The Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. I know a lot of people are very excited because we're going to be voting today. We're going to get that. However, we are still going to do our outside community partners first, so we'll kick through that part. We'll start with Officer Martin. I apologize if you're not on the microphone. I'm sorry, Officer Martin.
I'm loud. Is there a particular place?
Yeah, would you come stand right here, please?
Absolutely. And thank you guys for coming out for me. I really appreciate it. I do not want to beat a dead horse. For the ones that know me, we had 2 auto thefts. And guess how they happened?
Keys in the car.
The key fobs were in the vehicles, guys. Let's not do that. And then I also have one concern. If you're going to buy something off Facebook Marketplace or anything off the internet, please meet like at a police station or a public place, because there were a couple of thefts where people actually were meeting in parking lots at night for somebody to buy a phone or something like that, and they actually got robbed. So let's just be mindful of those particular things. And also, the seasons are changing. It may not feel like that outside, but if you're out working in your yard, be mindful of your garages, because a lot of people like to walk in garages that are open even though it does not belong to them, and take things that don't belong to them. So just be mindful of that. But other than that, I don't have anything else. And if you have questions or concerns or issues, the best way to reach me is email. I'm never at my desk. I am always out in the field, so the best way to reach me is email. But if you have any pressing matters right now that you think that I can address right now, you got any questions, concerns, issues? Great. So I don't want to hold you up. Okay.
Yes, Officer Martin, are you
Yes.
aware that you seem to have a homeless person that's living in the doorway of the animal hospital next to the library?
Am I aware?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I am aware. He's aware of me also. But let me just explain to you how that worked. We had a community partner come maybe 2 months ago. If you know the year, if you know what president is in office now, you're technically, you don't need help. So I've actually been out several times. He does not like me. Most of the times when he sees me, he goes to the library, and they actually allow him to go in the library. But if you see him, if he's causing issues, continue to call 911 and we'll come out and address him. I don't want to be inconsiderate, but if you feed him, if you give him things, he's going to stay. So in order for him to want to receive services, he has to be in a place where he knows no one is going to give him things. And I know you want to do, things like that. That's a great thing to do. But when people keep giving him money, food, things of that nature, he is not going to want to get services, because he's getting what he needs right there on Montgomery Road in front of the animal hospital. So I don't want to keep talking about that, but yes, we have offered him services several times, because he was actually in Kennedy Heights, and he got so tired of me, he actually walked down the street to Pleasant Ridge. So I want to try to get him some help, but if he's causing issues, I do go visit him quite often, and he runs from me. But we're still working on it, but it's just hard the way that things are. It's just hard. So if you see him doing anything, please call 911. But, yes.
Did we step up the patrolling around Walgreens parking lot now that the traffic's, or the weather's getting better? We're getting a lot of, even in mid-afternoon, people hanging out on that wall smoking and leaving a bunch of trash right there.
Can you email that to me? I'll give you a card.
Yeah.
Just email me that information. I promise I'm listening, and I might forget.
There's kids around here. It's just not good.
Yes, okay. All righty, you guys have a good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Officer.
sorry I was delayed at the start. We clearly were not expecting quite the turnout. So we moved the location and everybody showed up. So, if you have not signed in and you plan to vote, please make sure you're signed in. There's also some blank pieces of paper. Do ask that you could help distribute if you need to, and or share pins when the time comes to vote. To be quite simple, those of you who didn't get the cute balance and the shelter time limit were kind of awesome.
I only made 34.
Yeah, you're just, well, that's kind of the average attendance on a really good month. So you're just going to write a name and fold the paper, and that's how we'll do it. When we get to that point of the meeting, just as a heads up, we're going to keep rolling. I know the fire's not here, nor is CRC. Was it Rich Library? I didn't see it. Community happens here. And she's getting ready to start a sabbatical, so we have to see her for a little bit. School liaisons. Wendy, you plan on sharing anything?
No. It's summertime, so be cautious of kids. Sorry, cautious of kids running out into the streets, and just be more aware there's more pedestrian traffic.
Thank you, Wendy.
Last day of school is May 28th. Field day is at the Thousand Hands Park on the 22nd. So there'll be lots of kids there. You might not want to go to the playground that day.
And drive safe on the bridge. Who knows?
And that's it.
All right, well, we blew through that quite swiftly, so we're jumping straight into executive committee reports. Notes up. I am pleased to continue to say the good things that are happening in Pleasant Ridge. The bike bus on Fridays thing kicked off. How cool was that? I thought that was awesome. Gonna adopt a block. Beautification started to adopt a block for litter cleanup around the business district, which is super cool, and some of the arteries around town within each talk about their own things like that. About that. The Earth Day event had multiple committees. I was sad to not be there, but I was at the Invest in Neighborhoods Neighborhood Summit, which is only once a year. I actually presented on that. I'll talk about that in a second. I presented there an idea. And then we have lots of other great things happening. I wish I could list them all. Look at the events. Please continue to read the emails. They're full of lots of informative things. In order to not take away from all those amazing things that are happening in the community, I'm going to start doing the TIP committee and development updates in the business and development portion of the committee reports, so that we can highlight all the amazing things that are happening in the community, but we will still get to those when there's things to update you on. I just feel like our meetings have become very centered on one topic, and it takes away from a lot of great work, and a lot of people in this room are putting in hours and hours of dedicated work. So I want to thank you to all your committee leaders and committee members who are doing all that work. We've had a lot of great momentum in terms of our committees. We've got a youth committee up and rolling. They've not only raised some money, and they've already had a social event. The school, really, from what I understand, the only community council in the entire city that has a youth committee. That's pretty awesome. And we all know and see all the things that go on with a lot of the other committees in Pleasant Streets and beautification. So yes, I highlighted youth committee, but I wanted to say thank you to all of you for all that you do. Some highlights that I had, I saw Michelle's already planning to read, so I'm going to skip over those and let her do that. At the Invest in Neighborhoods meeting, I did get the official timeline for community budget requests. So every other year, when the city is doing the biannual budget, every community gets to make 3 official requests from the city for capital, mostly capital projects. You can ask for other items. But July 28th is the official kickoff. August 28th is the deadline for contacting department project managers at the city, and September 28th is the submission deadline. So we have through the end of December from right now to come up with 3 requests. So what I'm presenting to you is if you got a big idea of something that needs to happen in our community, I can tell you what we requested 2 years ago. We requested a brand new playground and a bunch of upgrades to Thousand Hands Park. We requested some pedestrian safety changes to that stretch of bridge to kind of protect the playground area a bit more. And we requested a bunch of pedestrian safety things on Woodford Road. All of those were answered with a yes in part, and we got some little changes except the one about the Ridge Road pedestrian safety enhancements, which was DOT needs to talk to CRCC, we'll get back to you. Guess what? That conversation is apparently still happening. So that's the kind of thing. And so these are big things. So if you know anything about Cincinnati Reds baseball and Charlie Hustle, he grew up in a certain neighborhood. They redid that entire facility. And that was a nearly $500,000 project for a new trail and redoing the ballpark and stuff like that. So these are big requests. So if you have ideas, please share them with us. We're going to get to the point where we get to our August meeting, and at that point we're going to be voting on one of the 3 things we're going for, because we need to then speak with project managers in the city about feasibility, and then by the September meeting we'll know finally what we can and can't do. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on CDRs? Cool. The departments in the city review it. They send it to the city manager. She reviews it, and they send it then to city council and mayor for review. Might get some kickbacks, but then city council officially votes on it later. So that's what the process looks like for those. And it has to do with the finalizing of the entire capital budget. The neighborhood summit. I told you that I presented at the neighborhood summit. What I presented on, I was actually approached by a gentleman from East Walnut Hills. And it ended up being 2 different parties from East Walnut Hills and myself. We invited a couple other communities who just weren't able or willing to do it. What we presented on was the idea of a strong community council form of government. The idea of this is that we moved to Cincinnati, and I'm new here, remember, 4 years. We moved to a strong mayor. The mayor, we get a city manager, and the city manager acts like a bottleneck for basically everything. And what we're saying, the definition we gave is a strong community council government is a model that includes neighborhood councils on planning of transportation development from the very start. So the idea is that we just are part of the conversation. We're not pulling aside later. That's the idea of it. Kind of what we kind of said that would look like characteristic-wise would be greater city funding. If you haven't been to our meetings before, we'll tell you we don't get a whole lot of money from the city. We found out ways to get a little bit more money, but $10,000 a year isn't enough to cover all the things that we would like to do in our community. So we'll be asking for funding recognition by the city government, leadership role in planning issues, results-driven decision-making, an annual community impact statement. So the city would actually report on this is what we've done for every community each year. And then what we said we would be requiring the city in order to make this happen is, I'm getting there, lots of slides. If you want to thumb through these at the end, you can. Resources, which we've already said, essentially in the charter, so it's with a strong mayor form of government. We would include community councils having a more formal input in the process. And the whole idea of this was to ideate what this could look like and to get input. And there was a lot of city council people there that we got to have conversations with that afterward. The other part we talked about was clearly defined processes for councils. If you've ever been involved in community council, or if you've ever been here and you've heard a lot of talk, you've probably heard that we contact the city about things over and over and over and over and over again, and sometimes it's months and months and months and months and months before we hear anything back. Essentially, we want to see that fixed, where we're recognized by the city as in a more important way, so that when we reach out and say, hey, we have a question about this project, we actually get a response. And that would be clear and continuous communication. But what we would have to offer the city is working boards. Our community council and our business association and our DC work very well. There's a lot of communities in Cincinnati that have a hard time getting the 3 people that they need to serve on the board to have an official council. So we would need that across the city in order to make this happen. Efficient processes, so the city would actually need to define some processes for how we work with them. Open up communication, like I referred to, and then we would have to come up with value alignment. What are the values of our community, and what are the values of the city, and how do we make those work together? Like I said, it was an ideation process. It was a very interesting conversation. I can't speak to how it was received by everyone. I do know that some of the city council members were very engaging afterwards in different ways. So if you have any questions about that, I can share this with you. We're going to get all the notes from the entire summit, and we'll be able to share them to anyone who wants to see them. I think there's even video or audio recording. So, are there any questions about that? Cool, you're all here for one thing, that's great. All right, so I am done with my executive committee report. On to interim, soon to be powerless Vice President Mike Cummings.
Mike Cummings, current interim vice president, whether you know it or not, you're here to vote me out tonight, and I am thankful for that. Truly though, it's been nice to be in this role. I will continue to do beautification work for Pleasant Ridge, and just as a parting kind of compliment to all of you, last month I got to do a cool thing, which was a government job with Jesse, where I got to go to the thing, actually the $10,000 the city gives us every year that Jeff was referring to. It's for, what's NSP stand for?
Neighborhood Support Program.
Sorry, took the acronyms. But anyways, I tell you this because I had to go there and listen to other community councils pitch their ideas of what they want to use that $10,000 for, and kind of just like sign off on that and have the other bar council. But so much of what the other communities talked about was wanting to drive engagement and have people be interested in what's going on in their community and not being able to find that. And I think that I know that we have a lot of that in this community, and you guys are all here as evidence of that. So thank you for being interested. I think that, whether you agree on stuff or not, that's better than apathy. So thank you for being interested in this community. I look forward to working with you and serving you in my beautification role. That's it.
I'm Michelle, I'm the secretary. First thing I have is the most boring thing, approval of last month's minutes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I already typed your name in.
Perfect. I look at them.
There's always one promotions. Next, I wanted to highlight a couple upcoming events that are not community council events, but they are local interest of the community. The first is the Pleasant Ridge Presbyterian Church, which is where you are right now, if you didn't know. Their rummage sale is this Friday and Saturday. This is a big fundraiser for them. They're a huge blessing to our community. They do a lot of good here, so support them if you can. And on May 30th, 4 to 6 p.m., the Pleasant Ridge Garden Club plant sale. Yes. I was tempted to not announce it at all, so there'd be more plants for me. I love you all, so I will let you all come.
Michelle, when is that?
That's May 30th.
And may I say,
Yeah.
it's our centennial celebration.
Oh.
1926 to 2026. So we're going to have a lot of special things.
If y'all didn't hear that, this is the Pleasant Ridge Garden Club centennial year. Older than my house. So, yeah, then we'll go to, also, just in case this is your first time, there's a QR code back there. It takes you to our public folder. The agenda is in there, and it has all the details that people say too fast. So names, dates, email addresses, all that stuff. So it's all on there if you need it. And that's all I have.
Hi everyone. Thank you. My name is Jessie Brand. I'm treasurer for PRCC. If you've been here, you've heard me talk about grants. I'm going to do it again because there's some updates. As Mike was referencing, Neighborhood Support Program, that's a $9,666 grant that we get through the city. We also have a second grant this year that we applied for, Neighborhood Business District Support Fund. That one is $3,450. That one's brand new to us. NSP we've been getting for years. So a good chunk of money that's come in. We got approved for all of those grants back in the middle of March, which is great. All of our projects were put through. As a reminder for NSP, we put funds towards the summer beautification expenses, so landscaping items and lantana for the pots. Some Ridge Day infrastructure items, the tent, the chairs, the restroom rentals, and then $1,000 towards the storage unit for PRCC to hold our items. For the Neighborhood Business District Support Fund, that's covering the spring landscaping costs, the $3,450. Good news is the NSP is, the contracts are fully executed. We're able to spend on that, so we spent our first 50% deposit on some Ridge Day items, and then we just put in our annual lease for the storage unit. That was $975. So $25 under the amount we put in, but we'll shift that money over to Ridge Day. So 2 projects underway there. Beautification comes next. However, for the Neighborhood Business District Support Fund, that grant goes through the city and is going through the DCED, Department of Community and Economic Development. Right now, that's going through a little bit of restructure, and that is delaying us getting the contracts executed, unfortunately. They're about 2 months behind, and I'm unclear on the timeline of when we can get those signatures. So that is slightly delaying when our spring landscaping is going to start. Because it's unclear, Mike and I have been talking, we have a proposed alternative solution to try to get some landscaping started earlier. So we've reached out to Sandscaping and we're going to try to work through a plan to get it coming faster, because I don't know exactly when we're going to get that contract executed for the NBDSF. However, they have to give it to us by June or else they're outside of their contract. So we'll get the money, it's just delayed, so I'm sorry that landscaping hasn't happened yet. It was supposed to start in April, but it's looking like a big start. So we'll keep you updated on those phases. That was the major thing that's been taking up the majority of the time, and working with you today, our biggest fundraiser. But I'll let Mark tell all the good stuff there. All good for me?
Any questions before we move on?
Where's the landscaping for?
Yeah.
The pots.
Oh, no, like the trees and like, what do you call it, little, like, where the interior?
Flower
The
beds.
tree rings,
The
yes,
tree rings.
along, like, into downtown and stuff, like weeding all that.
The sidewalks all up and down the business district and on Ridge.
Alright. I'll explain a little bit about the department shift that she's talking about. If you've been following the news, you probably have a little bit more, probably heard it before. We'll get to that in the business and development part of the conversation. So special items.
Yeah, so I'm proposing a bylaw change because as I was reading our bylaws about how the elections are done, I said it is bonkers for the secretary to be counting votes if the secretary was absolutely being elected. So, because I don't want to count my own votes next year. So we're also, we kind of, like the nominating committee was a little awkward because we were like, someone running shouldn't be also on the nominating committee. That's weird. So we're switching it a little bit. So basically, I also added some clarification to the bylaws for the precise years that our cycles run. So president and vice president are elected on even years, and treasurer and secretary on odd years. So I put that in the bylaws, that way there's no need to ask one of us when we're up for re-election. So yeah, we added a change to the nominating committee that it would be 2 members of the exec board and 3 residents at large, as opposed to 3 and 2. So we switched that. And changed it so secretary or vice president can count votes, depending on what makes sense. So we will vote on that next month. And so the vote we have now, anyone who is a resident or a business owner in Pleasant Ridge proper can vote if they're over the age of 18. We will do a hand vote for president because there's only one person running. I might even ask him to turn around. Also, because I forgot to put that on the ballot, so, you know. And then we do have, this is the first time this has happened in a long while, so we do have 2 people who volunteered to run for vice president. So I want to commend you both because it takes so much guts to, like, first of all, volunteer for a position. Second of all, to then run for it. When I stepped forward to be secretary, it had been empty for 6 months. So I was like, well, I'm not competing with anyone. So we want to give them both a huge thanks. And we're going to let them both say a little something about who they are and what they're all about. I see Carol. You want to stand up and come in front.
Only one also, no pressure.
There's a lot of you, which I was not expecting, so thank you for coming. Some of you in this room know my story, how my family landed in Pleasant Ridge in Cincinnati, but for those who don't, I'm going to try to make it quick. So when our oldest son was born in Utah, we quickly found out that he was part of multiple rare disease clubs, and that his health had rapidly declined within a few months. It was clear he needed a liver transplant, along with care for a lot of other things, and he was denied that ability in Utah and again in Atlanta, where me and my husband met. And we had family. So we were in a race to find him the best care. You might know that Cincinnati Children's is just that. So we picked up our truck within a few weeks, and he was flown in and immediately placed in care where he lived in the PICU for months. My husband and I, and eventually our son, lived in the Ronald McDonald House from May to December that year, and despite some cruel and dark circumstances, Cincinnati and Cincinnati Children's brought us a lot of hope and peace. I often told my husband and my family that if we could sell our house, bring our pets there, that I wouldn't have much reason to return to Utah. So when we did, our heart wasn't there anymore, so here we are. We didn't have friends or family here, but we were lucky to land in Pleasant Ridge, and we knew to feel the same community and care we have felt with this team and children's, we would need to jump right in. The Friday Parents Group at Community Happens here is our weekly sanity. Community Council brought me to Events Committee, which brought me a lot of wonderful friends in this room, and a chance to meet our neighbors in our neighborhood in the most fun of ways. My background is in event planning and venue management and design, so discovering a group of neighbors whose priority was to seek out meaningful engagement and plan events on a regular basis is amazing, and I knew that's where I wanted to put my time and energy. We have quickly felt surrounded by love and support through our neighbors who come sit on our porch, the constant check-ins on our children, and the endlessly flowing cookies, bread, wine, you name it, that has shown up on our porch since the birth of our twins. I know most everyone in here knows of the magic of Pleasant Ridge, and that's why you sit in this room to help preserve it. But as someone in their family's most lonely of times did not live in a community like this, I hope you always know how special it is. My desire for vice president is fairly simple. This community has opened its arms to our family, and we want to give back. We have big changes happening in our neighborhood and a vocal community that desires to feel heard, seen, and validated, as evident by our crowd tonight. My hope is to push forward with transparent progress, clear communication, and continue the efforts of cohesive partnership between PRDC, PRCC, and PRBA. The walkability, safety, family-owned businesses, and community initiatives, whether it be for our schools or facilities, were a huge pull for my husband and myself as we searched for the home that we knew we'd raise our kids in, and we believe them to be sacred and worth protecting. The landscape of this neighborhood is ever-changing and growing, so as we build on a wonderful foundation, my hope is that we continue to draw more small businesses, push affordability along with progress, and build our neighborhood in a way that draws in the old and new neighbors to love this community enough to be vocal, active, and present. I'd love to be your vice president, represent your voices, be an ear to your worries, hopes, and goals, and continue the efforts made by council and community members for a neighborhood that focuses on what's most important, which is you.
Thank you, Carol. How about Brad? Where is he? There he is.
All right. Yeah, I didn't expect this many people in the room, so thank you for being here. Thank you, Carol, for everything you just said. I totally agree. This community it represents what makes Cincinnati special. It represents what makes just having a community that cares about each other special. That's what we found, my family found here in Pleasant Ridge. We moved here in 2020, kind of a big year. Something big happened for a lot of us, and multiple things happened to me that year. That's the year that I would say I became middle-aged that year. Technically it was a couple months into 2021, but that's when my father passed. He was 68, I was 34, and it was such a wake-up call. We don't have forever. And that's why I'm standing here today. I think just like myself, just like each and every one of you, none of us have forever. Pleasant Ridge is right on the edge of really accomplishing something that I think could be amazing. We already have the core of what's amazing. It's everyone here. It's the fact that you care on a rainy Tuesday night to show up and be here for this event. And my purpose in all of this is advocating for each and every one of you. Jeff alluded to it earlier. I think we have to be realistic about what the community council can do and can't do. It's not a council that has a vote. It's not a council that can veto the mayor. It's not a council that can stop everything from happening, right? However, it is a council that has a really core mission of advocating to the people who do have that say, for the people who do make all of the decisions in this city. So my role, and the reason why I felt compelled to step up, is from what I do as a realtor, representing individuals buying and selling homes in Cincinnati, all across Cincinnati. I wish it was only in Pleasant Ridge, but I feel like there's like 2 houses for sale in Pleasant Ridge at one time, so that doesn't really work out. But that gives me eyes to seeing how people live and how people aspire to live. And I think that I do have the perspective to speak that story. I should say I have the perspective that I have now, but what is really crucial in all of this is to continue to listen throughout time being in the position. Because really, it is a communication role. The whole council is in a communication role. But the most important part of that communication is what we do here, rather than what we do here, is we listen and we get the perspective, we change our minds, and we work toward pushing Pleasant Ridge forward. Because I think we have the best neighborhood in Cincinnati, and of course I'm biased, but you know, I think we're all a little bit biased here. But in fact, we really do have something that we see in spots of Cincinnati, but I think we have all of it in one place more than anywhere else in our city. And it's the diversity that we see in all different ways. And it's the people that care to be involved in things like this, where it doesn't exist all across the city. So that's why I want to be a part of this community council, and I would love your support. And if, you know, if the group decides to go a different way, I'll be here next month, and I'll participate from that seat right there. So I appreciate all of your time.
Some of you have actually beautifully printed with a nice little rectangle that you're supposed to fill all the way in for the Scantron machine. No name is necessary.
So you have a blank one, you're just ready to name the person that you're voting for.
Right. Brad or Carol.
Really?
Unopposed. So, approval to vote in Jeff Hittenmeyer as a, oh, great.
I know, technically we can count.
Oh, any nays for Jeff? Or no, he's already opposed. So I guess that's
Can't say unanimous though.
all right, congratulations, Mr. President.
It's weird to be president and president-elect at the same time. Just saying you don't know. All right, so we're moving on to our committee report. First pillar that we have is connection and communication, which starts with communications committee. Ms. Kelly Jones.
Hello, some new faces. So I'm Kelly. I do the communications for Pleasant Ridge Community Council. I do the emails, social media, all that fun stuff. And I want to tell you about our repair affair, which is our first big volunteer event of the year. So we finally picked a date. It's going to be May 31st. It's a Sunday from probably 9 to noon. And what we do is we partner with people working cooperatively. They help us identify a neighbor in need. So we've identified a neighbor on Maple Leaf who needs some yard work done, some painting to her house, and a few safety repairs. So I think it's mainly building some handrails so she has something to hold on to going down the stairs. So that is what we're going to be doing. I'm hoping to get at least 10 people signed up. So I'm going to be blasting that link to join our crew this month. So check your newsletters. Also, if you're interested, you can come up to me after the meeting. I'd be happy to share that with you guys. But that is all I have to share today. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Kelly. Kelly does a great job. If you like any of the things she mentioned that she does, please, please, please meet Kelly.
I would love to be your friend.
Also, the repair fair last year was awesome, and then there was the pre-fair fair, which was fall, which is leaf cleanup. It was pretty much all, it was amazing. It was one of my favorite days of the year.
Yeah.
We actually got into some magazine article because our photo was the best at the end.
Oh, hey, you on the street. You're like, I saw you. You're not really on the street.
Human Pyramid, and Human Pyramid made the magazine article last weekend. So yeah. Next up, we have the events committee, Ms. Jackie.
Hi. I'm Jackie Martin, and I am the events committee person. So if you like planning events, please join us. We have a lot of fun. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 12th at 9 Giant at 6:30 p.m. So just have a beer with us, and maybe you'll like being on our committee. We'd love to have you. Few events for you to think about. We are throwing you a birthday party. Yes, you, every one of you. So the second Tuesday of every month, the community happens here, 11 to 1. We're hosting a birthday party. If your birthday is in May and you come this Saturday from 11 to 1, then it's your birthday party.
You said Tuesday the first time, but it's not Tuesday, it's
Saturday.
You said second Tuesday the first time you set it up to go to.
Thank you. Our meeting is on Tuesday, but it's the second Saturday of every month is birthdays. Okay, so come celebrate birthdays. If it's your birthday in that month, then you get a little present, and we're gonna just celebrate you. Okay, that's birthdays. The next big thing to be excited about is Pleasant Ridge's first ever Pride celebration. There's going to be events across the neighborhood at different locations, something for everyone. We're going to get signage out, but our website is pleasantridge.org/pride. If you just go to the Pleasant Ridge website, you can also find it. So yes, please come to that. And then that's kind of all I have. Maybe Eric will announce
a July event that we're co-sponsoring with conservation. Thanks.
Moving right along, Eco, not here. Rich Day. Yeah.
So Rich Day is well underway. August 1st, first Saturday of August every year. We are about 80% to our sponsorship goal already, which is a little bit unheard of for the beginning of May. Pretty excited about that. Some new sponsors, lots of returning sponsors. We already have a band book. We already have one food truck that I can think of off the top of my head. We've got vendors already signing up. Lots of fun little stuff that happens early on, like the marching band. All of Pleasant Ridge's, the pride of Pleasant Ridge is our marching band. They will be performing. What else?
We have a magician, face painters coming, caricatures, beer, lots of yes.
Beer. So fun for everyone. 4 to 6 in the Moeller Hollywood parking lot and Burger King. We're hoping to spread out possibly to both of those parking lots this year, so come and see. Bring the good weather. We brought it last year. We're going to bring it again this year.
All right, moving on to safety and transportation. Brandon, the safety walk watch. Hey, Brandon.
You do it. Hey, I'm Brandon, the chair of the safety committee. Barb's here for traffic, and we now do a combined meeting on Monday after this meeting at 6:30 at Goodfellas. So please come out if you would like to chat about either of these topics. Real quick, just to reiterate what Officer Martin had said, there are a couple of ways you see people in need that you can engage services for them. You can report it through a homeless encampment through a 311 Cincy app, and that goes straight to Mark Kinney at the Place-Based Initiatives office within the city manager's office. She is a social worker. She also has a bunch of social workers. They do outreach. And then also each police district has outreach folks embedded in the district, so they also do outreach, and then obviously our neighborhood liaison officers kind of help them out. So as Officer Martin said, it kind of sounds a little cold-hearted, but we can't really force people to take services, and it's surprising that people decline them a lot. We still try, we still do as much as we can. There's actually one person that we're actually actively helping out right now. So, but if you see it, feel free to kind of do that, or if you don't want to do that, you can email me and I can put you in touch with the right folks, safety.prcc@gmail.com. And lastly, please don't leave your keys with that.
Activities coming up for Pleasant Streets. We do have somebody coming from the city next month to present on 311 and 911 responses. So they're going to talk about what all things are offered from both of those things. So they're very connected to what Brandon was just talking about.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Mackenzie Farmer. I have been working on our Pleasant Streets Committee since it started with Barb Diedrichsen, and we have Lauren Farquhar here who also helps us out. So I'm taking the lead today because a couple weeks ago, Pleasant Streets got together with other PRM parents and started a bike bus. If you do not know what that is, it is a bunch of kids and adults on a bike, and they bike to school together. So the group of bikes is the bus. And we planned a route. We start in Ridgewood, and we go up Meredith and Kincaid and Montgomery, and we end at PRM. We are looking to expand. We'd love more volunteers. We'd love more routes. We are also not limited to PRM. If there's a desire to have a nativity, I know that's probably the second biggest school here, bike bus, we are open to help you start it. But yeah, it's been very energetic. The first week we had 14 bikes. The second week we had 18 bikes. We are working on some special guests. We have 3 more rides before school's ends. It's Friday mornings at 7 a.m. it starts. And we invite all of you that are here today to join us. It is not limited to kids. Grandparents can join, caregivers can join, aunt and uncles can join. Anyone in the neighborhood can join. It is meant to get bikes on the road, get our community familiar with bikes on the road, teach the kids about road safety, active transportation, save some gas money. So we would love to have you. That's it.
Thank you. We do not have anything from the zoning committee, or at least not to my knowledge. I know the process is not here tonight. So we're moving on to Parks and Public Spaces and Conservation Committee. Mr. Eric makes his way down. It's hot.
Stand by the door.
It has raised 5 degrees since everybody came in. Just throw it out.
All right. I'm going to need glasses soon, so. All right. So I just want to talk about what we accomplished in May, the Conservation Committee. No, in April. Sorry. So we did 2 big events. We did our event with Jackie, and our 2. And we did another smaller event, but it was just me and Hillary Reggie, but I'll talk about that in a second. So, we did a lot of work at Kenny Heights Park. We had 15 people show up at our 2 of our events at Kenny Heights Park. And if you all know, I always talk about plants. So we eradicated an entire invasive species from Kenny Heights Park this month. This year, though, so come back out next April and we'll do it all over again. Because it'll come back. It's an annual, or it's biannual, so the seeds are already there. We will pull it all out. It's garlic mustard. But we got the whole park done over the month. So we'll do it next year. We have a picture that will be in the email that shows like a before and after. And what we found is like garlic mustard has 2 things going for it. One, it shades out a lot of the plants that are below it so they don't germinate when they need to in the spring. And the second thing it does is it secretes a chemical that prevents other plants from growing, right? Oh. So we need to get it out of there. And then once we got it out of there, I went back and I found oak trees, maple trees, ash trees, hickory, buckeyes, little saplings under there. We saw a bunch of vines, moonseed, Virginia creeper, all kinds. It's poison ivy, which is good. Just not for humans. And a bunch of stuff, and a couple flowers we found under there. So that's why we're doing this, right? We want to get rid of the stuff that that shouldn't be here, so all the stuff that should be here can grow and support our insects and wildlife. Right. Okay, and then we had the wonderful event with Jackie at Earth Day at Kenny Heights Park. That was amazing. We had all kinds of people come out. We had Tri-State Trails and Mobo. Mobo came all the way from Northside to do the bike stuff with Tri-State Trails. We had Kenny Heights Community Council was there, Playing the Park was there. It was a great time. Cincinnati Parks was there, brought a snake and a turtle, and some mammal skins that we all got to see. It was really fun. So we're going to do, at this event, we saw a couple of the youths, Carol's youth, staring longingly at the creek. So, and that reminded me, this little creek that runs through Kenny Heights Pike, and that reminded me last year, with my other hat on, we did an event with Gwen at French Park in the creek. So in July, we're going to do a PRCC event, conservation co-production again, with the library this time. And I think Gwen is probably going to try to be there. So Hamilton County Conservationists will be there, and other special guests. And we're going to explore the creek, and then maybe do like a picnic in the park after we explore the creek. So it should be fun. And then pocket park wise, it's looking great. Plants are blooming. It's amazing. We found some really cool plants that are blooming for the first time. And some of the plants we noticed are spreading, which is what we need to happen. So there's not much going on there over the summer. But if you want to get involved, just email me. If you like plants or planting plants or killing plants or I can do it all. So, it's a fun time. It's fun.
You kill the ones.
Yeah, we kill the ones we don't want.
Yeah.
So the ones we do want will grow. So it's, I mean, it's a fun time. And we're outside. So come outside with us. That's all I got.
Thank you, Eric.
Mike Cummings here with my beautification hat on this time, or FCC hat. Just want to talk about the Adopt a Spot program we launched last month. Thank you to everyone who volunteered. I think I started with 22 spots. I want people to volunteer. I think I only have 4 left to adopt. So we had great turnout pretty quickly. Lots of families, which is cool. We saw people about last week and picking me up. Thank you. I just want to say, if you are someone who either asked me about a spot that was taken, or your street or area was not one I had on my little map, by all means, start picking it up. Let me know. Another thing you can do is you can register your spot, like some of my volunteers did with Keep Cincinnati Beautiful, another organization in town, and they will send you this cool kit with like a grabber and a bucket and bags and gloves and all this cool stuff. So if you need supplies, that can be taken care of quickly. If you're interested in anything like that, please let me know. Also, just a note, I had a resident reach out to me about something that was not anything I'd ever thought about as a beautification project, which I'm not going to talk about, but I say that because I'm thinking about doing it now, and if you have other ideas for beautification projects, please let me know, and we can think about doing those too. I think that's all I want to say. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
It's 8 o'clock and we're almost done.
Yeah.
Awesome. So last but not least, strategic pillar business and development. And we have over that is the TIP committee. Updates that I have aren't a lot. I did say that I was going to explain a little bit about what's happening with the Department of Community and Economic Development. So the Futures Commission at the city has recommended that the city manager dissolve Department of Community and Economic Development and create 2 new departments. Essentially one that is more resident oriented and then one that's more development oriented. To put it simply, there's plenty of articles we can probably put to a newsletter or something so you get filled up with that. The way TIF money gets used, the way neighborhood business district support funds, and anything that's connected to the neighborhood business district specific are going to be part of one department, which is still filling out. They're about 6 weeks into this process, so nobody was promised a job necessarily. They had from DCED, they had to apply for jobs in the new departments. Markia Carter, who was over DCED, is over now the resident-oriented department. I was able to meet and hear from the gentleman over the more development-oriented department, and his entire goal is to make things a bit more clear and simple. Essentially, DCPD was doing way too many things, and so they weren't able to do any of those things as well as they would have liked. And so that's why they were recommended to dissolve that, create 2 new departments, so they can do all the things better and faster. That is what has been told to us. I put in everything in very layman's terms because all the official terms that they would like you maybe using, you didn't find out about using the article that we're going to link for you. Any questions about that? So as you know, with that, there's been delays with some of our funding things, there's delays with other projects. We still have hanging out there a $1 million request for pedestrian or public infrastructure, which we're primarily using for pedestrian safety things. And that's still just hanging out there because we need those departments to complete so that we actually know what the processes look like and who we're supposed to be talking to. Currently, those things are not all in place. With that being the case, we're on a very slow ride and not the fast type that I like. Any questions on that? All right, so we're still in process. That still should move forward. The same process will continue. That main department will review it. It ends up with the city manager. And a lot of departments, once they have their final write-off, it goes to an actual city council for vote. Once that happens, we get the funds allocated towards the priority projects, and we work directly with the Department of Transportation Engineering to get those projects done. Any questions on that? It's a lot of people in here, not a lot of questions. I love it. So the only other update around this stuff is that we did have a TIF committee meeting, but it was the first meeting with all of the members because we had voted in and then the resident at large. The meeting was primarily discussing those updates that I just talked about, with TIF allocations and with department structure changes within the city. The only other thing we talked about, like that I have in my notes, is that we requested the actual amount of our TIF. So anyone can go to the city's website at any point and look at the widget. It'll show you the map of the TIF district so you can see exactly what properties are part of it. So it's not everyone in Pleasant Ridge's tax dollars go towards the TIF. It is a specific area, and money is supposed to be used within that area with some wiggle room. Yeah, I'll get there. And then with that, you see the lines, it also will give you a dollar amount. That's never completely accurate. So we're going to them and saying, how much do we actually have in that account? And then how much was deposited in the first quarter of the year with the first tax payment. So then we know we have a baseline for, we have this coming in twice a year, and then we can be strategic with how we're trying to roll out the funds. That's what we discussed. TIF, in case you're new to this and you just came for the vote, and we've been talking about it a lot. TIF is tax increment financing. At a certain date, a certain district was written or drawn, however you want to say it, probably drawn because you don't write maps. You write on maps. In Pleasant Ridge, and at that point, the base level of property value, if any increase above that, goes into a pool of money with Hamilton County that the city can then therefore activate only within that district by law. And it's primarily our business district with a few extra pieces of property. And so that money becomes a lever that we can pull in terms of priorities within the community. And that's what we've been trying to do. We were able, PRDC was able to get a hold of a couple of different properties, including the old Hollywood site next to BK and the old architecture, stained glass, and Hoodish property. The idea behind that is the community gets to have a say in what goes in there, and just as a big bought up by any random person. We all know that we don't want any certain one person to own even more property within our community, and that happens all over the city, and that helps us to keep that from happening. Any questions about any of that?
So, you said you went so fast, but I think you said that this will come up for a vote in Pleasant Ridge Community Council.
What?
And, well, that's what I'm going to ask you. What's coming up for a vote? Is it the plan to build these apartment buildings up on the Calvary? Or what is that?
When I talked about vote earlier, I was talking about community budget requests. Are you talking about TIF specifically?
I don't know. What is TIF for?
TIF, that's a good question. The primary purpose of TIF dollars is for economic development, and then the infrastructure that supports that. The city has made that very clear to us through the process. You can read the website and it says what it's for, and infrastructure has a lot of words in there. It's been made very clear to us. It's for economic development within those districts, and then what supports it. That's why we're able to ask for an allocation for public infrastructure that's going to help us with some pedestrian.
But what is the vote you were talking about in council?
Oh, city council. City council has to vote to actually activate the funds. City council is in charge of it. They get to write those checks. We get influence over it, but city council, it's just like any other revenue stream, like anybody's income tax revenue stream, city council gets to help guide where that goes within the city. TIF is the exact same way. We just are trying to influence it to the best of our ability because it's in our community.
Well, then how is it decided whether these apartment buildings will be built?
Those all become project specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when those projects come, we will have those within our meetings. That's how everybody gets it works.
So each project will come up for a vote in the council?
Well, we get a chance to vote input whether we like it or not, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to cancel a development or not. So if somebody rightfully owns a property and wants to build something that's within zoning, and we can tell them we don't like it, but by law they can still build it. So we're doing what we can to influence, and I stressed in the last meeting, we've got a certain amount of influence. We're trying to use every ounce of that influence that we have, and increase it if we can.
That was a great explanation. I have a couple more questions to help tie the loose ends together.
Yeah.
So then when you said the TIF committee, if I remember right then, is made up of community council people, development people, what's it called exactly?
Yes,
Development Board.
Development Board, Business Association, and community council.
Okay.
And then we also voted in a resident at large. And the person who specifically voted in has specific expertise in affordable housing.
And they just get to, they're kind of like a nominating committee. They just make recommendations, right? Or no?
So no, what we're trying to do is be strategic with proposals with those funds. Does that make sense? So we're trying to be strategic about it. PRDC goes and looks for development partners that they can fit the conversations that are being had within that committee meeting. So the whole idea behind it is for us to be working in partnership as opposed to being brought with a proposal and then talking about it. We're talking about it first before it goes further down the track, essentially is what we're doing.
And so like you said, the development court they got a hold of some of those empty spots. That's a good thing for all of us in the neighborhood, because then we all get to collectively have some input, not all input, into the developer end of the right?
Yeah, so the reason why I believe we would want to, PRDC be able to get a hold of properties is so that private developers from either outside of the state, even inside Cincinnati, who don't have the community's interest as much in mind, get a hold of them, because then the same thing can happen that we just talked about, where they come up with their plan, if it's within zoning, we have the level of influence that we have. So the goal is, where PRDC has attained property, is people have a lot of input into what's going on in those properties, but they still have to have a development partner who could work within those parameters.
Yeah.
A developer still needs to be able to build something and make some level of profit so they can pay for their people and continue to do the work that they're doing.
Cool. That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Last time we heard about the Moeller Beauty School and PRDC, PRDC had a developer that they had signed with, but they couldn't tell us who it was until a certain contract period. Is the contract period over yet?
I don't know about the contract period over. I do know that the Urban Sites is their property manager. The MOU, this was last summer.
Yes.
MOU is lawyer speak. It's basically like define the relationship. Anybody ever be in college and be like, hey, we've been flirting with each other and not kiss a few times. What's happening? Are we dating? Are we not dating? Essentially, the MOU goes, hey, we're not going to date anybody else for a set amount of time. And the idea was for that developer to have first rights towards a proposal. I don't know how long that contract was, because I'm not part of PRDC.
Barb, can you tell us?
No, I really don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
We'd like an update, maybe next month.
There is an email for the development core on your agenda, so if you have specific questions, that'd be a good way to reach out.
Last update from the TIF committee from PRDC was that they're actively talking with developers and they're going to have something in the next few months.
Oh.
That's all I have.
All right. Maybe at the next TIF meeting you can ask them and bring it to us?
Yeah, that might not be until August.
Okay.
But
yeah, last month I think we were told the same thing about the developer.
Yeah,
we don't know. You'll get into it. Okay.
I don't have anything to announce.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, and with that, do we have anybody who wants to make a motion to adjourn this meeting? Oh yeah. I'm sorry, maybe I can announce who won the vote. I'm just looking at the paper and I'm sorry. That's why I was getting very excited about the idea of the radio.
Public comment is my favorite part to type because I have no idea what's going to be said, so it's very funny. I will announce the results of the vote. It actually was very close. We have 75 people in the room. No, we have more than that because I know some people did not vote. 75 people voted, so that's an insane number for our little community council. But it was quite close. Jesse and I were both counting, and I think I started over like 5 times because there was talking. But our next vice president is Carol Ramborn. Thank you to both of you for volunteering, and Brad, you're not getting off easy. We're gonna have to do something. So we'll get you on a committee somewhere. But yeah, we can now open for public comment. And please introduce yourself and talk to the camera. That's all.
And you get 2 minutes on a timer, I'm sorry, that's how we go, according to our lab.
Excuse me.
Anyone?
Is it any topic?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 minutes? I'll talk.
Yeah, come on, so we can go. We are recording this. We did not live stream tonight because there's not internet in this
I did not
very old
plan
building.
this.
But we are recording so that we can put it on YouTube.
I'm shooting from the hip here. I didn't plan this, but my name is Rosa Jason, Rosa Hunter Jason, and my family has lived on Fairway for 49 years. I've come to several different community council meetings. My concern is, and this is personal, I haven't even talked to my neighbors about this, so it just popped in my head and I want to say it and ask questions and get feedback, particularly from you, Barb. I live on Fairway, I live down at the bottom, I cannot go up my street, so I obviously have to come across Montgomery if I'm coming down Langdon Farm. I have been hit twice. I have, right now I'm suffering from a back injury. Both accidents I was hit. I'm going across Langdon Farm, coming down Montgomery Road, and I cannot control the fact that people are speeding behind me. I put on my turn signal early, sometimes my flashers, and it's happened in snow, it's happened in nice weather, not to mention being hit on Langdon Farm. I don't have a second lane to move over to. I don't like pulling into the bicycle lane, but I do. Because if I don't, I've avoided several rear ends. As I said, I wasn't really planning on saying this, but I just want to toss this out and ask you, what can I do? And I, right now, am suffering from whiplash and have had this for over a year. Through no fault of my own. One thing I do want to mention, at the top of our street, there are 2 cars that park pretty regularly there. I don't believe they're residents of the street. I believe they're from the apartment building across the street. I want to find out how to ask if that closest to Montgomery space can be removed. Today, a garbage truck was coming up the street. I couldn't turn. I'm looking in my rearview mirror now because I'm terrified of getting hit again. And I just want to know what can be done there. I do go into the bike lane, and a lot of times cars are speeding and they move over to the what I call the suicide lane. What can I do? So
Let's talk afterwards.
I just want to throw that out because I want more than a suggestion from the bicycle lane proponents.
I saw another hand. Welcome. Welcome back.
Carl, are you Carl with a K or a C? A C, okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carl Beckman. I'm going to give you an update on the neighborhood. First of all, as it was mentioned earlier, Jeff and Jesse and other volunteers from the Ridge had their pictures in the Movers and Makers magazine earlier this year. It's good for the neighborhood. The bad thing is they didn't mention our neighborhood in here. Next item. Item number 2, the water leak down at Lester and Highland is being worked on. I reported it over a year ago. The work order is still open. I spoke to the sewer department on March 18th. At that time, they did not know what the problem is. A lot of the water has been stopped. However, there is water coming out of the sewer down there. Item number 3, yard waste collection has finally started. They were late this year and they were behind in their collections. 4, I spoke to the police officer about the homeless man. 5, I see that the city is filling potholes. I've never seen this much activity on pothole filling. I've been reporting these potholes for years and they're finally getting filled. Potholes were a major concern of the residents who completed the online survey. 311cincy.com changed and it is more difficult to report potholes. Number 6, citizens are going to be circulating a petition that would require 7 of the 9 council members downtown to agree to fire the police chief or fire chief. This would take power away from the city manager. Number 7, traffic safety. I drive the speed limit and I am being passed illegally on the right and left-hand side. Item number 8, St. Bernard Elmwood Place Schools offer free open enrollment to Pleasant Ridge residents. I never knew that. The Cincinnati Fire Department Museum has an interactive tool to teach children how to get out of a fire. Item number 10, I'm up to item number 10. Earlier this year, there was a 500% increase in deadly fires in Cincinnati. Make sure your family has a plan to get out of the house and meet at a safe place. 11 sidewalks. The city sometimes comes around and looks at the quality of your sidewalk and issues orders for you to repair the sidewalk. There is a sidewalk appeals board downtown that you can appeal it to if you say that the problem is due to the water company or something tearing up your sidewalk. Back during the time of the sale of the railroad, it was being discussed that it was being discussed and they were saying that if some of the money could be used to repair sidewalks of homeowners who can't afford to repair the sidewalk. Now, the Sidewalk Appeals Board is handled through the Transportation Department, and they did have 2 openings on that board. They asked me if I would like to join. I just don't have the time. The requirements is that you must own real property within the city of Cincinnati, and you must be, I think, 18 years old or something like that. How much, am I out of time?
I never started a timer.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we ask for adjournment one more time? Yeah. Carl brings the information, man. I'm waiting for it. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Got one? Second, third, we're good. All right.
Thanks, everybody.